This is my Amiga 4000 and I want to turn it into my most high-end modern Amiga. In the previous video you could see I had the Cybervision 64, the A3660 that sadly lacks the FPU, and the CF card for storage. Since then I have bought more fancy upgrades to make it significantly more modern, but before I get to that I had to do something very important first. Replacing the capacitors. I start with the PSU and it should be a very simple task. Yeah, this is the filter. You should be able to see it now. Okay, it has been recapped with the most high-end capacitors known to mankind. And yeah, let's see if it works, or if it blows up. It should work completely fine. I have checked almost every capacitor. There are 2 capacitors that were very difficult to get to, that I just assumed they were installed correctly and such. And everything looks fine. Maybe there was a small soldered thing that made a short, I don't know. Let's just try again. I have connected the hard drive to give it some load, and it happens exactly like the last time. The fan starts and then stops. I guess the next thing is to use the original filter thing here instead of the new one. Yeah. It's the same result. Look what I found! Okay, let's try again. Now it's going to work. And it didn't work. It is going to work in the motherboard. It must work. It works! Then I had to recap the motherboard, and I had never worked on SMD components before. Now I have removed all of the capacitors, and this is the first problem. See, I was very careful, but still it looks like I removed some of the pad. But if I test it with the multimeter, you can see there's still not connection there, but maybe it isn't the pad missing after all, actually. I think it is, though. It looks like there's 2 small... No. Maybe everything is okay. Going to apply some flux. Perhaps it's actually aluminum. And what you see here is solder on top of it. So usually there's some solder left, but maybe all of the solder was removed, so it was just the aluminum left. I did remove this resistor, I think it is, or this thing here at least. When I removed the capacitor, this followed along. So I need to try to put it back in place. Can be a bit more difficult. Okay, I think it's not so difficult after all. Or maybe no. It needs to be pushed further down. You know what? Even if it is a bit crooked, if it works, then I'm fine. Then I don't care. If you look at this capacitor, this black marking indicates the negative side, and even though it says plus here on C443, it needs to be in this way actually. It was assembled wrong from the factory. Okay, I have recapped, and it was not fun, but it's done. It was a bit difficult and I didn't have the best tools, but with patience and double and triple checking my work, everything was recapped and working fine. It is working! Now let's install some fancy upgrades. But what is this? A RAM expansion? HDMI? A graphics card? A network card? A USB card? A scan doubler? A flicker fixer? A sound card? No, it's everything. It is the ZZ9000. First I installed A3660, a new Buster 11 chip, the CC9000, and then FastATA MK4000 with 128GB SSD drive. Now this looks nice, but this is going to be my most modern looking Amiga, and this graphics card is capable of 1080p. This old monitor wasn't going to be good enough. I went to the store and bought this brand new 24-inch monitor, and now it looks like a proper modern computer. I also got back the Cyberstorm MK2 with a full 68060 CPU that also has the FPU, which is necessary for certain programs. I installed it in the A3660. So why don't I use the Cyberstorm MK2 instead, which also has the SCSI module? It's a lot better than the A3660, because it didn't work so I sent it off to be repaired, but they failed. On boot up there is nothing but a black screen. I now have gotten a microscope so I tried to look for the problem myself, and I found something that could be the issue. I removed this little solder blob there and boot it up, but I just get a black screen. I have not given up on it yet, but for now the A3660 will be good enough. So now the machine is close to perfect. With a big screen, high resolution, I can listen to MP3, browse the web and play games. But no, everything is not perfect. And you get some random problems, like device D80 alert wrong dear block ID 0000444A block blah blah blah. If I restart the Amiga, I may not be able to get into Workbench again. Yeah, I don't, because if I click both mouse buttons, you will see that it can no longer see the hard drive. And that has been a problem since day one. And that was with the compact flash card on the IDE port that is on the motherboard itself. But now I'm using FastATA for MK4000 and I still have the same issue. So I have turned the Amiga off and I need to be off for a little while. Then I turn it on again and it should work fine. And I am back into Workbench. And now it should work fine. I also have some issues with playing MP3. If you could hear that, it's like it's clipping or something. Possibly this is my own fault because I did connect it to this Tandberg Huldra 8. And when I turned on that old receiver, the screen on the Amiga went black. And then it came back. It seemed fine afterwards, but I didn't test MP3. So I think that is the issue. I also have this bad sound quality on that output when I use the Polar sound as well. I've had millions of different types of issues here that I have not shown you. I reinstalled like 20 times or something. But now it is, besides those issues I talked about, it's great. I really love having this much screen real estate. To be able to have folders spread out like this, it really helps when I'm transferring or moving files and reading a document here and doing something else here and so on. And using Amigaos, I can Google some different problems, like one issue I had was WHD load would not work with a Roadshow. So you can Google and find the solutions. And the websites, for the most part, work good enough. It takes a little while to load the websites, but oh, I actually got a different issue now. Reboot, yeah, it's not completely stable. Finally, I got back in here and find the solution to the problem. It's also really great to be able to go to Aminet and download whatever stuff you need. WordPress 7 also works great. It works well with this RTG screen mode. And it's also great to be able to play AJ games. This is my only AJ machine. And I also don't need to use a different monitor or anything like that, so that's quite convenient. So in the next video I need to fix some of the problems and also, yeah, clean things up a bit here. You can see I have a fan here because the CPU gets quite hot. I need to get the heatsink and a fan for the CPU. And this is my CRC battery, just taped together here for insulation. Also I used some tape to insulate the adapter from IDE to SATA, and yeah, need to clean things up here. And I also want to use this OpenFlops floppy emulator instead of the Gotek. It could be useful if I want to transfer a file from an older Amiga using Gotek perhaps, and then copy it over to here, or vice versa. I also don't need a CD-ROM or DVD-ROM, so I'm wondering if I could replace it with something else or just install this blank cover, not sure. And I also need to modify this floppy drive to make it work with the Amiga. So yeah. Anyway, that's it for this video. I hope to see you next time, and yeah, goodbye.